So motivation can be done in 1,000 different flavors. Once again, see them like hats. Try on all these different flavors, see which ones fit well for you personally, and then pick whatever you like. What we will do in this session, I will show you several techniques and guidance from all different kinds of angles. And as mentioned, see whatever sticks. Okay? So just remember that it's an individual balance. So you and only you know which one suits your preferences in this particular moment of time. Of course, you can be inspired by others, but that being said. Also remember that motivation consists of different components. We already discussed dopamine, the power of now, intrinsic motivation. But in general, you will encounter different flavors, just like there are different colors. So when you mix several ingredients, the same happens with motivation. If you mix different ingredients, you will also get a different flavor of motivation. So an example would be, for example, Jim Kwik's formula, which is energy times purpose times small, simple steps equals motivation. Yeah, so this looks a lot like what we already discussed. Energy could be replaced by dopamine, for example. Purpose could be replaced by intrinsic motivation. You see, just different naming. When we encounter ingredients like these, it's always remember to monitor your state of being. So, do you have the energy, so to say? How are you in your body? Do you feel energized? How are you mentally? If you have no idea what to do, if you feel lost, you probably should take some rest. So get in contact with your rest and digest system. Stop fight and flighting, stop the monkey, and start diving into your higher being, okay? And then you will shut down more of your mind and go more into your heart or soul, for that matter. Clarity. So clarity / purpose can be very complicated, but just ask yourself 5 times why in a sequence. Why am I doing this? And then the answer on that, why? And then you will see, you will get to the core. And then in the core, it's either I really want this myself, or I really feel like I should do this, or perhaps somebody tells you to do that. And then you know whether it's intrinsic or extrinsic motivation. And then small, simple steps, which means how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. In other words, as Confucius said, a 10,000 mile journey starts with the single step. So keep it small, keep it simple, which means don't look too far away in the future, because the further you look away in the future, the more mentally or imaginative the exercise becomes and the more insecurities and variables there are. But I will teach you on how to find that balance between being in the present and being in the future at the same time. The quantum approach, so to say. That's a different video. I've added, to help you a bit, finding a bit more clarity and purpose, I've added the golden circle method, which is helping you find your why by going from outside in. So what are you doing? That's your start. Then how are you doing it? And then why? Often people, if you don't think, you remain in the what department. Yeah? Okay. So far, you know that there are multiple ingredients and that there are multiple flavors. So let me explain one of the most common flavors or most common motivation types you see. And that's the game of life. And in this game of life, as you will see in the slides here, you either have the Maslow pyramid, or you have the chakra model. And potato, both are built on sort of the same concepts. So allow me to explain them both simultaneously. In the beginning, in the chakras, or in the beginning in the pyramid, you move from physiological needs, like primal needs, so safety, food, a roof above your head, and all those things. If you want to move up towards the next level, you need to play or need to finish that particular level. So for example, it is very hard to be in the transcendence or the growth level if you don't have any food in your stomach, if you need to survive, or if somebody's putting a gun to your head for that matter. So you keep switching between these levels, but in general, as well as with the chakras, as with this model, so to say, in the middle, there's sort of a paradigm shift. You could say that this is more of the primal, so the limbic system. It's all about survival and me, me, me. So this would be me, me, me. And here you gradually move towards us, us, us. And this is more the prefrontal cortex. And as mentioned in previous video, more and more and more people are gradually moving towards this because our way of life improves due to new technologies, towards, the standard of life increases. We're nowadays living as kings, or better than kings and queens a few centuries ago. So we have the luxury to focus more on these upper layers. So if you want to move up in layers, be prepared that you move from all for one to one for all. And it's very hard for somebody who has not been active on these levels to understand what they are doing in a higher level. So if somebody needs to survive for a dinner every day, need to fight for a dinner every day, they won't care that much for a growth mindset, so to say, or contributing to society. It's very hard to think about those things when you're fighting for survival. So realize that when you are in this place, it's very hard to explain your state to somebody over here. You do understand them better because you have been there. So you are sometimes still there, because don't get me wrong, you move up and down in this pyramid. So when you have been more primal, for example, eating a lot of sugar, alcohol, or doing things that activate the limbic mode, you drop down a bit in this chakra model or prefrontal or Maslow model. Okay? So allow me to give you some tips and tricks on how to finish these levels, on how to rise in the game of life. For me personally, my end goal is eventually transcendence. Not so much that I want to connect with everything around me. I actually do. But also, if there even might not be a surrounding force, I've noticed that I am I'm a way better version when I rise in this pyramid. So I am more kind, more loving, more patient, especially towards my kids. So when I'm in the monkey mode, I'm the lesser version of a dad. I tend to, I'm not well known for my long patience, so to say. I can be quite explosive at moments. But also, here I tend to turn the other cheek, so to say. So more patient, and the kids feel it, and they vibe very well. Same goes with the spouse, so to say. Basically, you ripple better when you shine from the top. You also oversee more because you're higher. You can see more, sort of a helicopter view. Yeah. So allow me to show you some tips and tricks to unlock these levels. A vital remark, and I can't stress this enough, is freedom. If you want to play this game of life, you need to acquire freedom. That doesn't necessarily mean quit your job in an instant if you don't like your job, but it does mean to allocate resources. And that can be internal resources like your energy, your focus and awareness, or your time. But they can also be external resources like money, your network, the physical environment that you are active in. So if you want to move up in this game, you need to be very careful on how you are spending your resources. So let's take a simple example like time. If you feel like you should move upwards in this pyramid, so for example, you would say that you're surviving here in the bottom to get a full belly by the end of the day is like your number one goal. It might be wise to also start investing some of your time in love and contribution. So you increase your network, or in growth. So you learn a vital skill that offers more money than surviving on the streets, for example. And this is very hard to say for me from a different situation. So this everybody has its own path. So it doesn't necessarily mean that everybody wants to go up in this game. Some people are perfectly happy here in these levels, and that's perfectly fine. Together with everybody, you form the painting called Planet Earth, so to say, and you need all colors of the pyramid or all colors of the chakra model. So if everybody would be transcendent, you would have sort of a purple planet, which might be a bit boring without all the monkeys causing chaos and mayhem everywhere. So yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's good or bad. Once again, good and bad only exist in the mind. So to move up in levels, start with freedom. When you have freedom, unlock awareness. That's a second powerful. So first, make a not to-do list, so to say. Ditch activities, or ditch the things that drain you. And we will do an entire session later on how to do that. Also, the same concept about awareness. We will teach you how to acquire awareness, to monitor your thoughts, to watch your breathing, and to be fully focused in the moment. A vital skill if you want to move up and down or correct yourself again when you've fallen a bit from this game. In the end, you will notice that when you move up in this game, life becomes better for you because you become more calm, more easier. You get less noise, so to say, more clarity. And the beauty is you will start sharing it with others. It becomes one for all. You will become an instrument of the universe, so to say. Okay, so unlocks, powerful unlocks are teaching. Try to teach the new things that you've learned to as many people as you can, because the teacher always learns twice. Secondly, start to let things go. For example, make a not to-do list. Thirdly, it's a bit of a paradox, but the more you give, the more you receive. It's sort of like love. It multiplies when you share all those elements. Embracing your weirdness. Take a check or look it up on the internet, the origin of the word weird, what it means. Sneak preview, it has something to do with determining your own fate. Very interesting. So by accepting your weirdness, you're accepting that what makes you you. This means do new things in your personal fashion, or keep doing the same things but in a new kind of way, which allows you to make new neural pathways. Other than that, very important, self-care. Yeah, of course, organizing your assets as discussed, the freedom. So you will be able to shift your money, your time, your focus, and simplify. Simplify, simplify, simplify. And that's also part of this small, simple steps. So don't make things over complex. Simplification can be the sign of a true master. Yeah, and it can be quite hard to keep things simple. But often the simple solution can be your best solution. And I have a personal mantra which helps me when I start, when I fail, and fail you will. For me, that's again, but more about that in a later phase. So don't feel bad if you fail again. When you end, this can be seen as sort of a battery. So this one I'm now doing the more you play out these levels, the higher, the fuller your battery becomes, and the larger your ripple becomes. So if you increase a level, let's say you unlock the next level by relocating or refining your balance or sharing more of your love or your authentic, you increase your battery and you increase your energy ripple, your chi, your aura, whatever you call it, your stamp on the world in positive fashion, because you are adding your uniqueness to the world. You can imagine when you're seeing this overview, I'm officially not allowed to draw by students. I often tend to mix things up a bit. So I will start giving this more focus. Other than that, you've got in general guidance from the West, so to say, which is mostly about the analytical part of the brain, which is about to-do lists, setting priorities, do the hard things first, so eat that frog. And it's mostly based on a fight and flight system, I would say. So set goals, targets, visualize your best future and go for it. Often this is extrinsic motivation and orientated in the future, so goals in the future, combined with to-do lists in the now. But you have to be careful that life does not become a rat race where you keep where life becomes a to-do list, so to say. So in order to balance that a bit more, you've got some different flavors from the East, I would say. And the Eastern approach is more about letting things go, the art of the Tao, so to say, doing less with full awareness. And realize that when you want to move up in this pyramid, it's better to bring less things or people or whatever, because you're climbing up a mountain, so you need to become lighter. And eventually, when you've reached the mountain, you will realize that there's not even a you. But more about that in a later session. I guess that's pretty much it for now. Sort of added a final advice from ChatGPT, but that I will leave in the text. It's more of a mix between what I've just said. And I guess by now you already understand that there are different types of flavors, and now you also know a bit more about why. For example, my personal why is move up in the game of life. For me, that's awakening my Titan, which awaits on the top. I have had the honor to meet the top for once or twice. Not the entire top, I would say. No idea how individual transcendence feels, to be honest. But when I'm here, when I'm in this region, I feel like a way better version of myself. So I always do highly recommend to do that. But I also am fully aware that people walk their own path, and you should use whatever I just taught you for your own liking. If you want to go monkey, perfectly fine. I love monkeys. So that's pretty much a wrap for now. I will see you in the next session, where we will discuss on how to move on from here, how to move forward. Chop chop.